Waldensian Martyrs, Italy 1486 to 1488 by Pam Vause, narrated by Jackie Dennis.
Keepers of the Flame. The Waldenses stood apart and alone in the Christian world. Their place on the surface of Europe was unique. Their position in history was not less unique. And the end appointed to them is one which had been assigned to them alone. Chapter 1. Italy, 1486 to 1488. Leaning against a large granite rock, Grandfather was silent while Marco told his story. No, all went well until I entered the village. He stopped and looked up at his grandfather, who listened intently. The streets were deserted, shops tightly shuttered, market stalls empty. Even the town's dogs were strangely quiet. I could only hear the lowing of cattle penned in the market bull ring. The village was still, not a sound, not a movement. It was really eerie and unnatural, he said, searching for words to describe how it felt. I then noticed, the one who's slaughtering our people. He was leading the papal army. He shuddered and took a deep breath. See, butted in Grandfather, Albert Cantaneo, Archdeacon of Cremona and supporter of Pope Innocent. That's the one. Well, he rode with his army across the ridge into Pinerolo, and they encountered no resistance. When I turned the corner with my cart and produce, it was clear that an advanced troop was already at work. Signors were prodded up the streets like cattle. Hemp ropes dangled around their necks. Soldiers stripped and looted shops. Others were dragging timber or carrying straw to the market square. A soldier came at me from the side street with a wine bottle in his hands. He grabbed at my mule, and it jumped sideways, knocking the drunk to the ground. More drunken soldiers ran towards me, their hands grabbing at my reins. I pulled back the reins, urging my mule to trot quickly. We jerked forward, and the soldiers dropped back. As I passed the church, a very different scene met me. A signorina was screaming. No, I was terrified. There was so much terror in her cries that I felt sick. She ran from the church, kept stumbling, and then fell down in the street and laid there. Her gown was torn, and there was blood on it. Marco shuddered convulsively as he told his story. I watched a soldier come from the church. The soldier knotted his hands in her hair and pulled her to her feet. Then he took her back inside. Marco drew a strangled breath that threatened to become a sob, but somehow he held it back. I knew suddenly whatever befell that signorina was far worse than the drunks I had encountered further down the street. He stopped, shuddered, and went on. No, the wind shifted suddenly, and there were billows of black smoke rising in the air. I could feel my heart pounding. I was so scared. I stood in my cart and shouted, violently shaking the reins, and turned the mule in another direction, and then I made him gallop out of the village. Nonno just nodded and sat sadly contemplating what Marco told him. Marco headed down the mountain track, passing birch and chestnut trees, carrying the lamb his grandfather gave him. He was tall, solid, and at 13 years of age he was considered almost a man. Entering open pastures, he could see clearly his village, Borgata Cairus, and his family cottage. The smoke from his mother's kitchen usually made him feel secure, but today it reminded him of the other fire. I still feel sick in the stomach when I think about the soldiers. I wish Pietro was with me. He would have known what to do. I wonder what Mamma would say if she knew, he thought. Bleating from the lamb brought him back to his present situation. His father's voice could clearly be heard as he led the family in prayer. Marco quietly opened the door and waited. His mother was first to look up. She stood and walked towards him. Marco, we were so worried. What took you so long? Looking at the lamb in his arms, she sighed. Son,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?